Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Trap Chat. I am your host, Kirsten Greggs, and it is another edition of Trailblazing Footprints Writing Black History Today. Now, every week I say, I'm so excited about this guest, but when I tell you I'm geeked up from the floor to above, like, if you, some of y'all already know who this is. So, for those who don't, I'm going to do a brief introduction because we're going to have a conversation. He's going to tell you all about himself. I am joined by the incomparable Billy Allen. He goes by Mr. Billy. He is the founder of Three Kings Visions. They are committed to fostering love of reading in children. Billy's also an Air Force veteran, a two-time HBCU, North Carolina Central University graduate. He is coming to us from the Las Vegas area, and he is currently the branch manager at the Whitney Library in Las Vegas. And for those that like, he looks a little familiar. He's also featured on this season of Queer Eye, and that is where I first became. But I first noticed him, and I was like, we've got to have him on to talk about Black History Month. So, Mr. Billy,
What's going on?
welcome. Welcome. How are you?
I'm blessed. Every day working in the library, is always a positive experience. First and foremost, thank you for having me on your platform. We're just trying to spread that library joy.
And we're going to do that today. So let's start there. Please share your career journey to branch manager of Whitney Library.
I am a librarian by profession. I have a master's degree in library science. I'm a proud graduate, like you mentioned, of two HBCUs, Lincoln University of Missouri and North Carolina Central University. From North Carolina, I've been a librarian for 8.5 years. Come May, it'll be 9 years. I've worked in three different library systems: Jacksonville Public Library System, Broward County in Miami, and I've been here in Las Vegas for the Las Vegas Clark County Library District. Currently, the branch manager of Whitney Library. I tell people all the time, the library saved my life. Like, you know, I haven't worked in 8.5 years, like, because I love what I do for a living. So, it's all about impacting the community. I tell people, libraries are not what you think they are when you was growing up. I'm 40, and like when I was growing up, libraries were quiet. First and foremost, you don't see people that look like you coming into the library. Black men, we make up 0.3% of the field. So, that representation is very important. I believe I'm the first black male branch manager in Las Vegas history. Um, my assistant branch manager is a brother too. So I think it's only happened one other time that two brothers are leading a library together. So that representation, when people come into my library, and it's all about connecting with the people. And like I mentioned, like, this fills my cup. So I get excited when I talk about the library. So
Okay.
it's definitely provided me an opportunity to inspire people. So
Yes.
God is good.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And you touched on it just a bit. Um, and if anyone follows you on social media or had or even saw you on the show, they'll know that for you, libraries today are more than just books
Yeah.
because of the work you're doing. So, can you share with those who are unfamiliar some of the lesser known resources that
Yes.
you believe libraries should continue to promote to help, especially marginalized communities, thrive and address these challenges like access to technology, career development? I'll let you talk about the one thing I saw recently that you did. I hope you touch on. So go ahead.
So, I tell people every library is different. I encourage people to visit your local public library. Libraries probably, you can't name no other entity that provides all these free resources. So, like, for example, in my library, we provide free Wi Fi hotspots for people that don't have internet. You can check them out and have free Wi Fi for 3 weeks and recheck it out. You can check out iPads with your library card. My library, we feed the kids Monday through Friday with free meals when they get out of school. Every Friday, we feed the senior citizens. I have over 150 senior citizens that show up every Friday. You can check out video games with your library card. I have social workers at my library. Once a month, we have mobile showers for the people that are unhoused. So we're providing opportunities for people to get resources. I tell people, as a librarian, I'm a matchmaker for resources. So, like, my job is to connect with the community, build partnerships. I say it all the time. I'm a walking library commercial because what's the first question that people ask you when you meet them? What do you
What you
do?
do?
So when I tell them I'm a librarian, I don't look like your stereotypical librarian. I'm at work right now, so this is
Yes.
how I look at work, and people feel comfortable. But like we have the free resources. Like, what about the people that are unhoused that come to the
Yeah.
library? What about the single mom that needs story times, need resources for her family? She comes to the library. What about someone just looking for a job? Or we take an internet, like I said, internet for granted. You get free access to internet coming to the library,
Yeah.
and it's a safe space for the community. You
Hmm.
know, at my library, we got an independent author collection supporting independent
Wow.
authors. Yeah, so we're trying to eliminate the red tape of
Very
supporting
nice.
independent authors. I got a Black Author Expo coming up. We got a partnership with the Raiders. Um, we're out
Wow.
here trying to get it and trying to inspire people, but I encourage people. Every library is different. Like my library, we're in the hood. So like it's like you're going to see a little bit of everybody, different
Yeah.
socioeconomic levels, from blacks, Hispanics, whites, people that are well off, people that are in need, people needing entertainment. I got a concert hall. Literally, I just had a performance in my library earlier. We got another
Very
one on
nice.
the whole floor. So, this is what service to the community means, working in the library.
Okay. In addition to your role as a librarian, you also, as I mentioned at the top of the show, founded Three Kings Vision.
Yes.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about that and what inspired you to create Three Kings? And how did your personal and your professional experience influence your vision for that brand?
So this is crazy because when I became a librarian, and this is funny. So like my background in concentration. So people, if you don't know, to become a librarian, you have to have a master's degree in library science. Growing up, I didn't even know this was a career path for Black people. We didn't know. So my mentor Kelvin Watson, Dr. Jerome Alford, they really put me on game. So for my first interview for a youth services librarian, I had to do a story time. So I read the classic book Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak, and I'm looking at these story times on YouTube. I'm like, I can't do it like that. Like, I need to do me. I'm influenced by battle rap. I grew up on Eddie Murphy. I grew up on the Wayans brothers. Like, I love comedy. So I'm like, if I was reading a book, this is how I would read it. And I've already been goofy and whatnot. So I did that in the interview. I did it my way. And the rest was history. So fast forward 2 years later, I'm in Miami and I'm doing my story times. Check this out. So I had two story times at 10:30 and 11:30. They were ranging from 150 to 200 people. So I called my homeboys. I'm like, yo, is there a platform for kids on YouTube that supports kids of color? Like I said, is there a kids show featuring a black man? I haven't seen it since Reading Rainbow. So this is in 2019. I said, you know what? I'm gonna do a kids show. So I said, I'm gonna start Three King Visions. So I was coming up with the name. So me and my best friends are Three Kings. So we're real loyal to each other. And I was like, how do I create loyalty to reading? So I was like, Three Kings, Vision. All right, let's do it, right? So I started Three King Visions, which my YouTube channel was Storytime Adventures from Mr. Billy, where I have a sidekick, Busy to Be. It's almost like a Blues Clues in Reading Rainbow, mixed in together, where we want to support stories that look like us. So 90% of the books that I read on my platform, and subscribe to Three King Visions on YouTube, but it represents 90% of people of color. You have to see people in these stores, but also, more importantly, seeing a black man holding a book. You talk about that prison, the pipeline, eliminating that factor for young black boys with literacy levels. They got to see it. And I think people talk about it, but you really got to put it into action. So I started it 2019 and officially to 2020, and it's been taking off. I mean, I've been so blessed where, I mean, like literally on Instagram, we just hit over 31,000 followers, got verified. This is all through becoming a librarian. So my inspiration, not only through the kids channel, because my brain has evolved, I kind of like the cool librarian, right? And I use hip hop in my story times. So, everybody loves music, and I use hip hop and R&B instrumentals because we want to create a family experience for reading. Not only is it fostering an experience for the kid, I tell parents, the caregivers, the siblings, your uncles, the aunties, grandma, that storytime is a family experience. So when I play Jagged Edge, Gotta Be to a story, it's that create that sense of nostalgia for the adults, so they were more intrigued. We want to create engagement, and I feel like I haven't seen nobody do it until this day. I feel like I'm the only person doing this type of platform, and it's been a beautiful journey from the Shade Room to being on Netflix with Queer Eye. Um, LeVar Burton followed me last year. Now, and I gotta say this,
Did you cry? I would have cried.
you know, and he follows 400 people. I'm one of those people. That like I'm like clearly I'm doing something right, and I'm putting it into fruition. He tweeted me on X, I call it Twitter. He said when he comes to Vegas, we're gonna do a story time together. So I'm holding him accountable. So Mr. LeVar Burton, you seen this? You know we're gonna make it happen, brother. We're trying to kick down doors on what this
Yes.
profession can do. So that just we're here to inspire once again.
Yes, yes. So I hope y'all were paying attention. Now, I'm going to admit, I don't care if I'm being a geek and a nerd and kind of a big baby right now or a big grown up kid, but I have actually gone and watched some of your YouTubes and I'm like enjoying myself, even though obviously the subject matter is not necessarily at my level, but
Right.
you're not only engaging children, you're also engaging clearly their parents, clearly other grown up people are getting excited and are getting energized around you. And again, that was one of the reasons why I definitely wanted to have this conversation with you, especially during Black History
Yeah.
Month. So, just to talk a little bit more about that, you have an animated story time program. People can go to your website. Please do. I have it scroll at the bottom. Go to Three Kings Visions. Also donate. Buy some Leaders of the New Cool merch. Do all that good stuff. If you don't have any children of your own, or you don't have a program you're connected to, sponsor for someone else. It's very easy to get involved. So make sure you go there and check them out. But the animated storytime program combines, like you said, entertainment and education.
Yes.
So how does that unique approach how do you feel that unique approach helps children connect with stories that reflect Black experiences and culture?
Well, first and foremost, hip hop is the number one culture. And I was like, once again, I'm looking at this lane, and when people see this, we want to inspire more Black people to get into this lane. Where like I say, me being a librarian and being a storyteller for kids, we want to inspire Black people to do stuff other than being an athlete or a rapper. And you could do quite well financially. You can really impact people's lives, and I think that's the real gist of what I'm trying to do. So when I'm doing my read alouds, I'm like, why do we just gotta follow this regular format? Like in my profession and just like with educators, when you talk about literacy, if you're talking about literacy levels are low for Black people, especially young Black boys, why we keep doing the same thing? So I say, look, I'm incorporating hip hop into mine. And a lot of times when I'm reading these books, I'm not even rapping. Some of them are rhyming books, but I'm using my personality to get creative. There's no wrong way to encourage kids to love reading. And when I tell parents all the time, like, just play an instrumental, even if you don't even like hip hop. Like if you like country music, rock and roll, play an instrumental of your favorite music to make reading fun. So in the education realm, in librarianship, they call this music and movement story time. I'm like, well, this is hip hop story time because I ain't seen nobody else do it. And why not? Because you can read this book 10 different times and read it to 10 different songs and get 20 different experiences. You can alternate, like if parents, caregivers, you're reading, you can read to, let's say, you'll read the Cardi B instrumental, like, but you can alternate each page reading with your little one or to your nieces or your nephew. Like, you want to make this a positive experience. Even if you get off work, and I know everybody's busy, you do that for 10 to 15 minutes a day. I guarantee you it's going to have an impact. Literally, I got a TikTok right now I'm doing, right? This just happened. This is why, another reason why I was late to the interview. So I had a customer. This is a true story. Just being transparent, where I had a customer who was like, Mr. Billy, can I talk to you? And I was like, hey, what's going on? He said, look, I want to tell you, I never liked reading until I came to your library. He's the same age as me. He brings his daughter to my story times. He said, when I came to your hip hop story time, he changed my family's life. I love reading now, and I love reading to my daughter. I just want to tell you that. He's been coming to my library for a year and a half. Like this is my first time hearing this from him. You never know your impact. I mean, I got kids in Afghanistan. I got kids in Africa that watch me. I mean, this is the positive influence. I know I'm being kind of long with it, but I get real passionate about talking about this because Black people, my people, this is the inspiration. You can do this, you know?
I'm going to go back just a little bit and touch on another point that you made about representation. And we do hear a lot about the importance of representation and the need for young Black people, especially young Black men, to see themselves reflected in roles that combat harmful stereotypes. Since, as you even mentioned, Black men only make up 0.3% of librarians, how do you ensure that the stories you share inspire and empower young readers to see themselves as creators of their own history and valuable contributors to their communities?
Um, it's my line of work. My job is to connect with the community. So like when I walk through my library, my staff will tell you this. I'm a walking library commercial. I interact with everybody. Just saying, hey, how you doing? And particularly the youth. I get a lot of young Black boys that come in my library. A lot of young boys in general. So when I talk to them, I can talk about everything. Relationships is everything in life. I try to create rapport in person, but like virtually, I mean, honestly, just talking about it. I mean, who would have known that never in a million years I would have figured I would be a librarian? You know what I'm saying? Someone had to put me on. So it is my duty to talk about this and let people know this is a career path to answer your question, whether it's in person. And people are so intrigued too, because when people find out I'm a librarian, people have so many questions. Like, how did you get into it? Do you love what you do? Or library's quiet? No, libraries ain't quiet no more. Like if you come into my library, first of all, I got a loud voice. My voice project. You're gonna feel energy. My staff, you're gonna have skills where as a librarian, my number one skill is empathy. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're talking about like young Black boys, or just Black men in general when they come in, I've been to jail before, I've gotten in trouble, I've made a lot of bad decisions, but I overcame all that. And look where I am now. And I think, I talk to a lot of brothers, and that's all they need is to see that inspiration. Like I got a program at my library where we do record and eviction seal. So that's a big deal. Like when I got in my trouble, earlier in my late 20s, I wish I would have had that resource. This is just me talking to people to build relationships that come to my library. That's a program every month. Social workers. Last year, I put over 20 people in housing. So, like, my team, we care. And when people hear your story, and not just the cookie cutter stuff, they want to hear the real. And you can't fake being authentic. And I think that's where one of my superpowers is just being real.
I agree. I agree. Like I said, if you can connect with someone on a reality TV show, like, and inspire
Yeah.
them to be I want to know more about whatever, like about the library. I want to know more about what this person's doing. I want to learn more about being, an avid reader, or even how you even develop a love for reading. It
Yeah.
says a lot. And again, you are an inspiring person.
Yeah.
and and I hope you continue to do what you're doing. Unfortunately, we have come to the last question in the main section before we have, the rapid fire, my favorite section, fun questions. So again, the theme is trailblazing footprints, writing Black history today. How do you envision Three Kings vision, as well as your work at the library, fostering a love for reading and contributing to a legacy of Black history?
I feel like that's almost like an emotional question because you never know what history means to people, and I think for me, it's just being an inspiration to people. Like you really have to walk and love what you do, and that's why I'm very passionate about my career. Like I mean, Black history you can't teach culture, and you know people want to be in our culture. So I feel like it's an onus on myself and for the other fellow Black male librarians. Like we got this fraternity, we all know each other. Ain't that many of us, right? That we have to spread this love. We need to be seen at these conferences. We need to promote this. So, like for me with Three King Visions, this is gonna last forever when I'm long and gone. Because I tell this story all the time. This is literally 2 years ago. I'm in the grocery store and we're gonna talk about legacy. A little boy runs from behind and hooks me on my leg. So I turn around. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on, young man? How you doing?" So the mom was like, "Hey, you're Mr. Billy." She was like, "My son watches you on YouTube." And I was like, "Oh, so thank you." She said, "Let me tell you something." I asked the 4-year-old boy, "Why do you like watching the show?" She told me the 4-year-old boy said, "Mom, because he looked like me." That's history. That's just, just walking in your passion where they're seeing. They see what made that 4-year-old boy realize he connected with me. So, I feel like the legacy and just letting people know this is endless opportunities for us to brand. Like I got a slogan that we're leaders of the new cool. That you can do something. Once again, it's nothing wrong being an athlete or a rapper. But guess what? I'm in the pros in my profession, and people get mad at me when I say this, but I feel like I have just as much as influence as LeBron James because I'm really out here connecting with the kids. I'm connecting with the people. You know what I'm saying? Like when I got this job here as branch manager for Whitney Library, my regional manager and my director said, "We're looking for someone to be the face of the community." I embraced that. So, like, literally, I got a sticky note. Oh, I can't find a sticky note. I'm cleaning up my desk. One of my staff members, I had a big program last summer where we had to get creative, right? But summer reading challenge. And I was like, how do we get kids to love reading, not just in totality? I said, you know what? I'm going to get slime this summer. So we had a contest. So we had a slime meter, right? And we had a 300 goal summer reading challenge completion goal. Every day, kids and parents were like, "We want to see you get slime." And at the end of the summer, they told me to get slime. That was motivation. That's creativity. That brings community together. That creates history. We've been doing that for 2.5 years now, every summer. Just getting involved and just thinking outside the box. So I really feel like, I'm giving you a lot to answer your question, but when you talk about Black history and legacy, um, this is an untapped realm for our community,
Yeah.
and just, seeing my nephew, little Wesley. Like if you watch my kids show where you hear Three King Visions, that's my nephew.
Okay.
And my sister tells me, and he FaceTimed me one day, reading the Magic Treehouse. This young man was reading the book How I'm Doing My Story Times. That's representation. That's that you can't teach representation. Like people use these buzzwords, but you got to walk the walk.
You absolutely are. And again, you guys, we only touched on a few things, but make sure you go to Three Kings Visions. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel. Follow, especially if you have young children. Watch Story Time with Mr. Billy and Busy Bee is there.
Hey,
Hanging out.
you did
And again,
research.
I I always do my research on my guests. So before the end of the show, let's hit the rapid fire.
Let's get it.
Yes, the Black History rapid fire. So can you please share a cherished Black History Month memory or tradition that shaped your understanding and appreciation of Black history and culture?
Ooh, I will say honestly, last year. So we did a program. We did HBCU week, and we did a whole week long worth of programming related to HBCUs because I'm on the West Coast. People don't know about HBCUs. I'm from North Carolina where we have a lot of HBCUs. So we show movies like School Days, you know what I'm saying? Like, we talked about we showed higher learning, but also I had a panel of all people that graduate from HBCUs. And to have white people show up, Hispanic people show up and be like, I never heard of this. That's for me, my way of giving back to educate supporting the importance of HBCUs. Like I ain't never gonna stop talking about HBCUs. LU and Eagle Pride in the building. You know, um, that's to me Black history. I think a lot of times we go back, we want to talk about Dr. King, Malcolm X, but a lot of times people don't realize, you know, there are really real life influencers that are making Black history right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, while we always got to revert back to the 60s and 70s. You know what I'm saying? Like we live in a whole new day and time where we respect Black history, but there's a lot of people that's creating Black history. You know, I mean, we can go to Barack Obama, LeVar Burton, like that's Black history to me. But also, like, just like, for my mentor, Kelvin Watson, he's a director of the Las Vegas Clark County Library District. He's Black history to me. I mean, who would have known libraries got partnerships with NFL teams, NHL teams? Like we got partnerships with the Raiders. I just did a story time with the Raiders. Had a mascot doing a story time reading in front of 300 kids. That's Black history to me. People seeing that there's a Black man leading the library, where the word is out. You know what I'm saying? People want to get involved with the movement. And that's why I say we leaders of the new cool. Seriously.
Absolutely. What Black history? What? All right, come on, Kirsten. What Black historical figure gives you a glimpse of yourself?
Oof, LeVar Burton. Easy.
LeVar Burton. Okay.
LeVar, I mean, he's the inspiration. And I feel like, my platform is an extension of what he's doing,
Okay.
and honestly, I'm just keep it real too. Just my parents,
Love
my
it.
parents instilled the love of reading. Like my very first book that I read was a Family Matters book with Steve Urquhart. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
and it's funny because and then my mom was always. I'm a big basketball junkie. I was a big hip hop head. My mom was ordering Slam magazines, The Source,
Mm,
Chat magazine for that group. If you know, you know. Like
yes.
that, and video game magazines. Like so that fostered my love of reading. So to me, my parents are Black history. To me,
Yes, absolutely. Besides your parents, who is a lesser known historical or contemporary Black leader who inspires you and we should learn more about?
one of my mentors, Dr. Jerome Alford.
Okay.
Um, he's the one that inspired myself and four other brothers to get into librarianship.
Um,
It's almost like the story of the Pat with the five doctors.
mhm.
It's a very similar story. He is now the head and director librarian at Harvard University.
Wow.
Started at HBCU, started from the bottom. Now we here. Like that's, I mean, that's inspiration. That's Black history to me.
It
He
is.
helped lead a whole new revolution of Black male librarians and get people involved. So like that's historical. Like I would like to paint that picture because he changed my life. How many times do you hear stories about other Black men giving back and influencing other Black men? You know, I never knew when I was 25 going back to school, aspiring to be a nurse, following my mom's footsteps, that at the end of the day, I was going to be a librarian. This thing changed my life.
I love that. I didn't know you started out as that you were going to be a nurse and then you switched to library science.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Are there any books, films, or artworks related to Black history that you would recommend to listeners who are seeking to deepen their understanding?
I'm going to be honest, school days. I grew up on school days. You get that HBCU vibe.
Okay.
You get an understanding of colorism that still exists
Mm,
today between Black people. You like
mm,
for real. You see the fraternities, the sororities. You see the real life issues. Even though that movie came out in the '80s, saying
mhm.
Spike Lee really provided a vision of what's still going on with Black people at HBCUs. So I would
Yeah.
definitely recommend that.
I agree. I did not go to an HBCU, but I am in the D9. So uh,
Nice.
I've been a Delta longer than I've not been a Delta. I will just leave it at that because I don't tell people how old I am anymore. Everybody knows at this point, and it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. Kind of sad. Anyway, um, how should individuals and communities actively participate in honoring and preserving Black history beyond the month of February?
You know what? And I tell people, Black History is every day. We're not just using one month to celebrate Black History because they don't do that with any other cultures. I mean, and whoever sees it, please don't be offended. But when you talk about Pride Month, they celebrate Pride every day.
Yeah,
If you talk about National Hispanic Heritage Month, they talk about their heritage and supporting their culture every day.
every day.
White people talk about their culture every day. So Black people need to take pride in what we do. We need to support each other. And I think that's the biggest thing, eliminating that crabs in the barrel mentality where we're so powerful and people know this. We influence every culture. So get educated, learn about, Frederick Douglass, MLK, but also, look at your local influencers. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at, like, for an example, another one of my fellow librarians, Michael Threes. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? That's an influencer. Look at popular educators. I got a dope brother by by the name of the Revolutionary Educator. My guy
Oh,
is from Compton. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a Black principal. This dude is amazing. Another Black male librarian, Jamal Ramin. He's a director in the Delaware Public Library System. He
okay.
did he did a reunion of a different world.
I love it.
So, get involved in your community. There's so much Black history in every community. I think people look at Black history from a macro perspective.
Mm.
Do research in your community, and you'll be surprised on how many trailblazers that you come across.
Yeah, I think we lost a little bit of lost sight of that. I'm a Gen Xer, and I think I
Yep.
took a lot of that for granted growing up in the Philadelphia area. My mother worked for most of my childhood, like when I was old enough to go to I would go to work with her, or whatever. She worked at the American Philosophical Society. She works in finance, and she was that's it was Ben Frank. First of all, it was Ben Franklin's old house. Like, so she
What?
worked at a historical landmark, and the Liberty Bell is next door. And I would be annoyed, especially in the summertime because people were coming to tour, being an old city, walking on cobblestones. The horses are using the restroom out, and they're ringing the bell as soon as I get on the telephone to call whichever little boy I was trying to talk to that day, And I'm like, oh, that bell is ringing, and I didn't realize like you're literally sitting in history. Or the people I went to church with, like I'm AME, and everybody I knew had a PhD from an HBCU,
Fire.
and they were coming back. These were educators and doctors and business leaders, and I feel like we took that for granted. I have a friend who grew up in Chicago who has had Thanksgiving dinner with Rosa Parks, and I'm like, we're 40 some years old, and it's like these are things that you kind of take for granted,
Yes, we do.
like but we also don't realize that a lot of the stuff that we call history, we're thinking of, we're trying to make it something that happened so long ago. And it's
Hmm.
not, like, because these people are still living, not some of them still, but like
Right.
at the time we were growing up, like these were like literally living legends. And I think we
Yeah.
need to do more, like you said, of talking about the people that are close to you, the people that are in your community that are doing things. No, you don't have to be on television. No,
Right.
you don't have to be, the number one influencer or have the most followers. But if you're making an impact and you're doing something valuable, you need to be celebrated. Period. Period.
And that's so valuable because, I mean, how do we inspire our community to do other career paths? How do you get the inspiration if you don't, once again, you don't see it or try to seek it? And that's kind of like where you kind of put pressure on your loved ones, your
Yeah.
friends, the people that you associate yourself with to spread that knowledge of, look, the stuff that's going on that came before you or that's happening right now. You do know there's Black politicians. You
Yeah.
do know there's Black people that lead rec centers, libraries, or people that are financial advisors that are really active in the community.
Mhm.
You got to do the work and
Yep.
you'll find your passion. I mean, even with the number one job with kids is being an influencer. So find your passion in influencing people in your community
Yeah.
locally.
I feel like influencer is the new consultant. When I was growing up, consultant was not a real job. People thought you were unemployed. Uh, and then now it's like people are like influencer. What's an influencer? But you got influencers that are making more money than CEOs. So
I
yeah,
don't even consider myself an influencer.
you
Um,
are. You are, but I mean, you're a content creator, you're an influencer. But like you said, you're using your profession, so to speak, or you're using your whole authentic self because you're not just a librarian. You're not just Mr. Billy. Like you're not this caricature. You're bringing this. You're an authentic person who is living and sharing your passion.
yes.
That's it. So yes, you are an influencer. Sorry to tell you.
And I think, I just tell people, let's break down barriers. Like, what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, find your inspiration. Like, my dad, like I tell people, I never worked 89 years. My dad was like, boy, do you not know how lucky you are? Not too many people can say that. It's not like a dad like, dang, I gotta go to work. No, I can't wait to go to work.
Every day,
Like for real. You
every
know,
day.
pretty much. I mean, I'm a manager too, but
Yeah.
I think, when you find your purpose,
Yeah.
it's like you fills your cup. Even when you reflect on your day. Let's say you had a busy day, a draining day, but I'm not reflecting. I'm like, I help people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and you'll forever get your blessings, and
Mm.
you don't even have to seek the blessings because they'll come your way.
Whew. Well, you laying some heavy stuff on me, right? But I do want to ask this question because I think it's important. A lot of times we shy away from it or we kind of sugarcoat it, but I want to get your real
Mm.
response to this. How do you think social media has influenced the documentation and the dissemination of Black history and culture?
Ooh, let's get it. I will say social media is a gift and a curse because like me as a librarian, my job is to provide information and resources. And social media, just information everywhere. Is it good information or is it bad information? So, like, if you, for an example, you talk about the critical race theory, all the stuff that's going on in schools where people are trying to eliminate Black history.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, literally, when we were growing up, when you go through these history books, it's only a small portion of Black history. You know what I'm saying? So we need to talk about this stuff and put pressure on politicians. You know what I'm saying? And stop giving out incorrect information. You know what I'm saying? That's the main thing. You got to hold people accountable because what's happening is it's so much content every day that whatever you see, you believe, you're going to absorb that content. Everybody, like, I mean, it might be a little off content topic, but like everybody's a dating coach. Everybody knows relationships. Everybody's an expert, like you said.
No shade to me, but everybody's a podcaster. Like,
Everybody's a podcaster where, it's good to have your voice being heard,
yeah,
but you need to give out the correct information. There's nothing wrong
agree.
with having your opinion, but your opinion ain't factual. And I think this is where people, when you talk about, supporting Black history, your opinions on things can really influence people in a detrimental way, especially when kids got this.
Yeah.
Everybody has their phone. And we got short attention span. So think about it like this. If you're on social media for 15 minutes and you absorbing the wrong information,
Mm.
subconsciously you getting information like, okay, they got a good point, but it's incorrect or it's negative.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point. And let me apologize, everyone. I've done it again. I've kicked myself out of the stream. I don't know why I do that. It's just when I'm on my touchpad. Anyway, forgive me again. But I appreciate you that you didn't panic like some other people have, and you kept talking. And and you didn't wait
I
for me
use
to come
StreamYard
back.
all the time, so I already know.
Okay, great. Technical difficulty. We call it technical difficulty. All right, what's your go-to songs, or music genre when you want to hype yourself up to conquer the day?
Oh man, so this varies. Nas is my favorite MC of all time. So
Ooh.
I'm an R&B dude. So I'm always listening to slow jams or R&B, '90s R&B.
When you put on your
Um,
candles, you
got the
still you
candles,
still into candles?
got the candles. You know, I'm a real just to get inspired. Listen to R&B, like
Okay.
literally. I'm literally looking at my phone right now. I got 100% genuine playing. Like so, it's
Oh
like
gosh. Okay. Okay. Well,
listen to it.
now we know. Now we
Every
know.
night.
What's the best piece of career advice you've received that you would give to your early career self?
Ooh, your your friends will dictate your future.
Ooh.
So, I literally have pretty much the same friends since I was younger. But when I went to college and stuff like that, I know a lot of people, but everybody ain't your friend. And I think, matter of fact, I'm gonna switch up the quote. Everybody can't go with you.
No.
Everybody can't go. So like when I created Three King Visions, and I told friends that people that know me, and like I kind of talked about it in Queer Eye, where when you elevate in whatever you're trying to do, people always gonna have one perception of you, and they're going to be condescending. They're not going to believe in your vision, whether it's loved ones, people you went to school with, people that you know. Um, you need to stay the course and believe. When I became a librarian, when I started Three King Visions, I believed in myself. Even when I was getting, even I ain't even blown up on YouTube yet, but like with Instagram blowing up, TikTok, I don't care if I had 5 views, 10 views. It didn't matter. I believed in what I was doing because it don't matter how many people who see it. So that's honestly how I got on Queer Eye. I'm gonna just give you a little tidbit.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so me and my mentor was kicking it, and he got an email and was like, "Hey, the producers from Queer Eye are looking for heroes in Las Vegas, and 3 people recommended that he reach out to Billy."
Wow.
And so technically, so I didn't audition for the show.
Right.
Um, they was like they interviewed me. They're like, "No, we gotta have you." So, but you never know who's watching. So when you believe in yourself, and people was like, "Man, I can't see you doing that. Oh, that ain't gonna work." Look where I'm at now.
It was it was one of the best episodes, and I'm not just saying that because you're talking to me. I'm saying
Thank you.
that because it was like it was one of the best ones.
Thank
Um, and I think some of it too is because generationally we're kind of the same age, and just the things that you were talking about, the things that you've experienced, like it crossed gender lines. It crossed over professions. Like you were not shy about being vulnerable in the moment. And one thing that was different about you, it was like you were never guarded. Like you had your guard up, but you weren't guarded. And there's a difference
you.
that I think people don't realize. And when they even called you out about what you were doing to mask and what you were doing to
Uh-huh.
like keep the heat off of you, or make the pressure a little bit easier, you took it, and you were like, okay. And then the conversation that you had with Karamo, where you talked about how people see you as something that you're not anymore, and how you don't big yourself up enough because you don't want to come off a certain way. You don't want to seem braggadocious. You don't want to seem unapproachable.
Yep.
And then the thing that touched me the most was when the kids, like, you had your idea of what the young people wanted from you, and that they wanted more, or that they needed a certain thing, but you created a space for them to number one, tell you what they really wanted,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, and and for them, each one of them to be say, "You're enough now. Like you don't even have to do any of this. Like you're enough now." Like
Yes.
that's one of my favorite episodes.
But
That's all I gotta say.
and I tell people when people see this,
Yeah.
you talk about the interaction with Karama. I think it's gonna spark up a lot of conversations first and foremost. And I'm just gonna get real, where there's a lot of homophobia in the black community,
Yeah.
and for to see a straight black man interact with the LGBT community like it ain't nothing. People need to see this. Like my
Yes.
profession heavily represented. It doesn't matter. And for the interaction with me and Karama, black men don't have safe spaces to be transparent and be honest. And that's one of my brothers. All them guys from Fab Five, me and Karama text every other day. So, one of the biggest takeaway, like you mentioned, I show love to everybody else, but you got to
Mm-hmm.
show love to yourself. And I forgive myself of my past because that's what got me here.
Yes. Say
That's what
that
got
again.
me.
Forgive yourself for your
Give
past.
yourself of your past. Don't be ashamed of it. That's a part of your journey. And I think it was so therapeutic going through that recording process. It was a whole week, and it
Okay.
changed my life. Those values, and and like everything was organic. And I tell people, like everything in that show was organic, it wasn't scripted.
Yeah.
And with me getting the award from the city of Las Vegas, I only been in Vegas 3 years.
Oh.
When they let me know the date of the recording, I had got a week prior notification I was getting that award. They're all aligned in 1 week. They ain't nothing but God.
That alignment 100%. I didn't realize that was, I thought they came because of the award.
That wasn't nothing but God. The producer said
Oh,
this is too good to be true.
that's beautiful. That is
Yeah.
beautiful. Okay, unfortunately, that's the last question. Dang on it. If you wrote a book describing your career so far, what would the title be?
This is gonna be cliche. Started from the bottom, now we here. But
I
it's
think
true.
I think you got to get clearance for that one.
Yeah, yeah,
But
sorry, Greg. But I would say, I mean, I got leaders of the new crew
leaders of the new cool. I love that. I love that, by the way.
because obviously it's a takeoff of leaders of the new school.
Hmm.
But um, we want to break down barriers in any career path or anything that you want to do, that you can break down barriers and inspire people.
Yeah.
And that's what, if I was to title my life, is leaders of the new crew. Um,
Leaders of
we're
the new
trying to kick down doors. They're gonna be a next generation of Mr. Billies that can be like, you know what, he inspired me. I got a YouTube comment. It's funny we're talking. We just this dope conversation where I got a YouTube comment maybe about 5 months ago. There was a comment that was like, "Hey, Mr. Billy, I don't know if you remember me in Miami, but I want to tell you thank you
wow.
for talking to me and my friends every day in the library." He said it meant a lot to us. I just want to let you know I'm a sophomore in college now, and he was like, "You
Wow.
to go," and I was like, first form, I'm like, dang, I'm getting old. But but second of all, you never realize your impact.
Yes.
And I always tell people, find a way to be the inspiration. Be the inspiration.
Yes. There's a quote that I have up, but I'm looking for it now. It's like, be open to the kindness of others.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So do that. And what, I forget who told me that. I think it was my coach, my career coach, not the person that I coach, not the one that I coach, but someone that person that coaches me, my
Mm.
leadership coach. I think she told me that. But anyway, please once again share any upcoming projects or initiatives we should be on the lookout for. Tell people where to get in touch with you, where to follow you, where to donate, all that good stuff.
Thank you once again for having me on your platform. Follow me at Three King Visions on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok. Now it's back. TikTok fan base. Subscribe, but more importantly, subscribe to Three King Visions Storytime Adventures with Mr. Billy on YouTube.
Yes.
We need to get on YouTube Kids.
Okay.
So my goal is to get 10,000 subscribers this year. I'm going real hard this year with switching up my content, doing kids music videos. I did a dope MLK music
Yeah.
video the other day. Um, we need this. We need to support more positive things. And I'm just not even just talking about myself, but this is something that I feel like is needed. We're talking about literacy and spreading library joy. But yeah, follow me on all platforms, Three King Visions. I have an independent author collection. If you know anybody that's an independent author, tell them to DM me or email me at threekingvisions@gmail.com or DM me on IG. I'm highly accessible. We're
Yes.
all about curating a collection for people that look like us.
Okay.
And
I love it.
if you're in the Vegas area, February 1st, we're kicking off our first ever Black Author Expo. Um, if your organization in Las Vegas or on the West Coast, I got my signature event, my third annual Teen Empowerment Summit. This year's theme is Elevate Your Game
I love
because that's a
that.
theme throughout life. Elevate your game. Um, if your organization wants to donate to that cause or help teens, last year I gave away PS5s, Nintendo Switches, all that. But if you want to get some information and inspire the community, tell them to come holler.
We absolutely will. Make sure you guys do all of the things that he just mentioned and also come back for the next episode of Trap Chat. We are continuing our Black History conversation. Thank you all. I will see you next time.